Hey everybody. Today I'm going to give you a reading using this new I Ching tarot deck that I have recently bought. And I'm also going to read a little bit about the I Ching to you, about its history and how it works and how people use it. Using this little book that came with the cards. And this is actually an introduction of a new reading type that I'm offering on my Patreon page, which you can find a link to in the description. And if you're only interested in the reading, you can find the timestamp also in the description, and you can skip the beginning and get right to the reading. So I think this little card set is really absolutely gorgeous. The cards are really small, and it came in this box. So the box had the deck and the little book inside. And so I'm going to read to you from the book in the beginning, because I think it's interesting to learn about new divinatory techniques. By now, I'm pretty much familiar with the tarot. Of course, that's not to say that I know everything about it. I'm still learning, and I think it's a lifelong process. But I'm pretty confident in using the tarot cards, and I thought it would be nice to get acquainted with an entirely new system, which comes from an ancient tradition, and that people have been using for a long, long time to predict the future. And according to the booklet, there are many, many ways to use the I Ching, and it's actually interesting to combine it with the tarot as well. But I feel like I first need to learn a little more about how the I Ching works in and of itself before I start using it together with the tarot. So for now, this is going to be a I Ching reading only, even though it came in the form of cards. The system is the same as the original I Ching technique. So this is the book that came with the cards, and I'm actually impressed that it's not just a little booklet, but it's actually a hardcover book, a small one, but it's like a real book. So I'm going to read a little bit from this book now, so that we can understand the system better and where it comes from. The I Ching is a binary system built upon the two most basic energies of the universe, yin and yang. Yin, associated with water and earth, is the receptive, yielding, nurturing aspect of the universe, and the feminine creative principle of gestation. Yin is the cool darkness of shadows and mysteries, as well as the strength of flexibility, adaptation, patience, and endurance. Conversely, Yang is the masculine creative energy of initiation. Fixed, forceful, aggressive, and dominating, embodied in fire and air, heat and light. In the I Ching, these energies are depicted by linear symbols called Yao. Yin is represented appropriately by a broken line like this. And Yang by a solid line like this. Yin yields and permits. Yang pushes forward and stands firm. Both are present in all that exists and are equally crucial to universal equilibrium. the constant shifts and changes in us, our world, and indeed the entire cosmos reflect the ongoing give and take between these polarized energies. In the cosmology underlying the I Ching, the 8 elements of the natural world are heaven, earth, water, fire, thunder, wind, mountain, and lake. To represent each element, the Yao are arranged from the bottom up in groups of 3 called trigrams or bagua. This is what we're talking about here. So these are the elements that the I Ching symbols are made of. Legend has it that one of the first emperors of China, Fuxi, drew the bagua based on patterns he observed on the back of a tortoise shell. The bagua illustrate the interplay of yin and yang energies within each element. Each is associated with different characteristics. Near the end of the Shang dynasty, King Wen, founder of the Zhao dynasty, used his period of political imprisonment to elaborate on Fuxi's system by stacking the trigrams in all possible pairs to create 64 hexagrams or gua, and writing an explanation commonly called the judgment for each. His son, Tan, the Duke of Zhao, later wrote line by line interpretations of each gua, terse, poetic phrases laden with the metaphors of their time. The wisdom of many subsequent sages and scholars has been incorporated into the canon. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but I think you know what I mean. The most famous of these commentaries, sometimes known as the 10 Wings, is commonly attributed to the philosopher Confucius. I Ching readings were once highly ritualized events of the Zhao court, using yarrow stalks or of varying lengths corresponding to the social status of the user. For ease and convenience, many modern diviners employ coins, tiles, marbles, or dice to cast the hexagrams before referring to the text for insight into their query. This deck uses 64 cards depicting each hexagram. The cards are designed to be read either upright or inverted. And then the book goes on to give us a little bit of advice on how we should be using this oracle set. Before any reading, take a moment to clear your mind before formulating your question. Meditation in a quiet place will help you focus and be receptive to the insights the cards provide. State your question clearly and precisely. Writing your question down may be useful. Avoid asking whether specific events will occur. Instead, frame your question in terms of how circumstances will impact you, or how you should conduct yourself in a given situation, or what forces are at work in the overall situation. Some examples. What is the best way to improve my relationship with my partner? What are the prospects for my candidate in the upcoming election? And so on and so forth. Shuffle the cards well while holding your question in mind. And then there's an explanation for how we can use two cards and decipher the specific message that comes from the combination of the two. To incorporate changing lines using this deck and book, shuffle the cards while holding your question in mind and draw two cards at random. Read the first card in its upright position. Leave the second card face down for the moment. After reading the interpretation in this book for the first card, turn the second card over and read it as it falls. whether upright or inverted. Place the second card beside the first and compare them line by line. Where there are old or changing lines, where the line on the second card differs from the one on the first, consult the transformations for the second card. Then consider the interpretation for the second card. So basically, you need to look at the different lines from the bottom up and find the lines that are different. And the first difference you notice, you need to read the specific message for that line. And the I Ching, I think, is really amazing because you really don't need anything specific to be able to use it. So, for example, just like the book says, if you have coins at home, you can do a I Ching reading for yourself. Or you can also use a dice, because it's a binary system and it's really simple to use. In terms of, you don't need any specific tools, or you don't even need to have this card set, this specific card set, to be able to consult the I Ching. So let's see what the I Ching's message is for us right now. And this reading that I'm about to do for you now is also available from my Patreon page. And I've read in a book that it's also possible to do chakra readings with the I Ching, which I find really fascinating. So I'm planning on introducing 2 different reading types with the I Ching. This is one of them that I'm about to show you. And there's also another one coming up, which I'm going to provide a link to in the description. Shuffling the cards. These cards are really so tiny and small. So I'm going to draw 2 cards for us. And this is a message for everybody who's watching this video right now. It doesn't matter which time, a week from now, a year from now, or even 2 years from now. The moment you're watching this is when you need to hear this message. I'm going to zoom in on the 2 cards so that you can see better. Okay. That's pretty interesting. So, what we have here is, first of all, Lu, traveling, which is combined of the energy of fire and the energy of mountain. And we have Dun, retreat, which is a combination of heaven and mountain. So the basis is the same. The lower part, the lower 3 lines, are matching with these 2 cards. And before I even read the interpretation to you, my initial intuition is that there's a chance to travel inside, because there's a traveling, a sense of a journey somewhere that doesn't take place outside of you, but inside of you. It's a form of retreat. Let's see what the book says. Lu, traveling. Not just traveling, but seeking and sojourning on a personal quest are favored. Make all decisions carefully and avoid imposing your will on others. And the second card is number 33. Seek separation and seclusion. Remain concealed. Be discreet and retiring. Withdraw in order to advance later. And let's find the specific message. It's not the fourth line, it's the fifth one. And the message is, the more you step back, the more the way opens before you. So these two cards are about the necessity to withdraw and to seek answers from within. And it's also about not trying to find approval or reinforcement coming from the outside world. It's about finding our own way within our own minds and creating a space for ourselves, a dynamic, ever-changing environment, an exciting place full of imagination. Being alone doesn't have to be dull, doesn't have to be boring, doesn't have to be like a form of punishment. You're not punishing yourself when you're staying away, when you're staying within your own circle. You are actually giving yourself a gift, and there are new opportunities opening up for you. In order to make progress in this situation, in order to make the best decision you can, you need to take some time for yourself and take yourself away from the influence of your peers and of the outside world, and go on a journey within yourself. Just like the book said, best way forward right now is to stay still, even step back if needed. Sheer force and the willpower that you have is great, but it's not gonna solve everything. At this time, you need to stay passive in the eyes of the outside world and get active within your own little world. I hope that you found this video and the reading interesting. If you are interested in getting a reading from me with the I Ching or with the tarot, make sure to check out my Patreon page. It's also possible to get a reading from me with PayPal. And I would like to thank all of you for watching and everybody who has donated and made this video possible. Thank you so much. Have a good day or night, and see you soon in another